Okay, traditional DLC where everything fucked up. Oh, I remember a time where this was the catch all for everything from a season pass to map packs to everything, and
Yep.
now it's kind of taken on its own like different entities. Obviously we no longer have the online pass. That failed miserably.
Yeah, that didn't do too well. When DLC was in its early state, we'd see things like what David said, map packs. One of them, infamous, was the Halo franchise. They had a lot of map packs. I think they went for like $5 per map. Uh, at first, to pen and paper, it sounded pretty good, but overall, it was just a nuisance per se. It was just like, I'm not going to spend for per se couple double digits in bucks to pay for single maps and stuff. So.
Yeah. And this really was something that PC gamers dealt with for a very long time before this was ever a thing for what we know as console gamers.
Yep.
Look at like Warcraft, look at Diablo. They had expansion packs
Yep.
galore. Yeah.
hmm
Now
They also had,
like
they had Fallout, by the way, like Fallout 3, New Vegas at this time.
yeah.
They had DLCs as well. But those were a little bit more acceptable because you were getting a little bit more than you bargained for. Unless it was like World of Warcraft, then yeah, you get a lot of stuff out of it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like World of Warcraft, you get a fuck ton of content for rather. And there he finally
He
dropped.
dropped. Yep.
Okay, so next time he's in here, I'll have to unmute him. But anyway, yeah.
Okay.
So like, there's obviously those World of Warcraft. You get like 60, 80, maybe 100 hours of content per
Oh yeah,
expansion.
it was very good in content in delivering DLC. It was very acceptable at this time. So
And they're like roughly what, 20 to $50, depending on what edition of the expansion you got.
I think yeah, they're about like $30-$40, I think. I don't know. They could be more. But either way, I know for sure it's not 60, but I know either way it was good because you were getting a lot out of the World of Warcraft DLCs. We'll call them expansions, of course. You get a brand new leveling system. Like instead of going to 60, you'd go to 70. You'd have a lot more quests. You'd have a lot more mounts. There was a lot more to Battlegrounds, which Battlegrounds was almost like an end game thing aside from raids and stuff. So it was like the early stages of what we see now, which is Destiny, but Destiny is a little bit different.
Yeah, Destiny we'll get to in a little bit. That'll be in the microtransaction era.
Yeah.
Like Halo was one of the first ones to come in this era that's really heavily scrutinized for the map packs, like you were saying.
Oh yeah.
But the very first console to experiment with DLC was the Dreamcast.
Huh.
Yeah.
Now, would you like to tell me that?
Actually, let me pull that back up here because I had an article pinned before I had to reboot my computer.
Now, you want to put that on Discord or on Facebook Messenger?
I'll put that on Discord.
Okay.
Now,
I'm gonna take a look at that.
here is this. And this is from Cinema Blend, obviously. The DLC was unlocked after 16 years. I'm going to put it here in Ragtag. But yeah, there was actually one that was called the Flogland Brothers. I think I'm pronouncing that right. It received a year's worth of DLC that was supposed to get back in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
And this,
I think it's Floygan Brothers.
Floygan Brothers.
Yeah.
But it was supposed to come with one piece of DLC per month for a full year. Nobody really realized what DLC was at this time because console gaming, scary thing having to connect to the internet at the time.
Yeah.
It would come in like small, accessories, a couple of in-game activities that were never meant to be charged for. Instead, you would simply click a link on each month within the Dreamcast web browser, and boom, you could download it to a VMU. But the biggest downside to this was the memory capacity of the Dreamcast.
Oh yeah.
was minuscule compared to what we have now. You know, we have consoles.
It had, I believe, it had either kilobytes or megabytes.
It was, I think they're. I'm not sure actually on that. Let me actually look that up.
I think it was megabytes, but it was like in the hundreds, like a couple hundreds or something. I don't think it was kilobytes.
Yeah, the
because
memory
even
card,
kilobytes, that's way too small.
The VMU memory cards were 128K flash.
Wow, that's tiny.
Yep. So, and there's
That's not even megabytes then.
Yeah, there were also 30 third-party cards, and there was a 4x card, which was 800 blocks, as well. That one came out around the time that Phantasy Star Online came out, which came around the time of the broadband adapter.
Oh yeah, which actually connected you to the internet.
But yeah, it's definitely something else. You know, inside the VMU, you could actually have access to other games. There were some mini games in there, like inside of Dino Crisis. You had with VMU, you had health condition and ammo count. The VMU also.
It was very gimmicky stuff.
Yeah, like Sonic Adventures. You had the Chow Adventures, you know, stuff like that. That was really, like you said, uber gimmicky. Shenmue had, you know, the Shenmue goodies and the training instructions.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And the memory cards didn't even plugged into the controllers.
Yep.
Which was a very weird thing. You put it in the back. That's why some of the Dreamcast controllers had double backpacks, because you could throw in a memory card in there and plug it in. And I believe the basis of the memory cards were for save datas or something like that.
Yeah, pretty much. And it ran on 2 batteries as well. 2 little tiny ass watch batteries.
So you're talking about the disc batteries.
Yeah, the disc batteries and
the flat ones.
Yep, and without them, it would still function as a memory card and an auxiliary display, but it could play the downloaded mini games, and it would beep when the Dreamcast is powered on if it's connected to the controller. So yeah, there was all of that, but because of the very limited space, and it, you know, the DLC didn't function properly, and that's why we didn't see a whole hell of a lot of support for it in the Dreamcast era. And
which is actually ironic because, like you said, this is the first time we've seen it, and ever since the failure of the Dreamcast, DLC has come back bigger and more menacing.
Oh yeah, like one of the most infamous ones was a cosmetic, that ironically, which is no big deal nowadays. The horse armor for Oblivion.
Oh.
Yeah.
How much was that horse armor? I really forgot the price on it.
It was like $5.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it wasn't bad, but it was something we never seen at this time. So we're like, oh, what a real price tag on something like DLC.
Rabble.
Pretty much.
And like with the horse armor, like nowadays that would be completely fucking normal. Like,
I could see it going for $20.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking. This is like a standard we see in today's games.
Yeah.
For example, Fortnite stuff.
The Raven skin?
Yep. $20 for a skin. I'll take another example, like Elder Scrolls Online. To get in-game mount through the store, it's usually like $15 to $20.
Yep, it's really bad.
It's really bad. So don't play Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah, but I mean, if you like it, you like it. But I mean,
yeah,
that's a little bit much for a mount. I mean, then again, the alternative is grinding for it, like you do in World of Warcraft. So I mean,
and actually, they do have sites where you can sell these mounts. I have one of my mounts that goes for like hundreds of dollars, but I would never sell it because it's really hard to get. But that's the thing about, you know, grinding in MMOs. It's really something you have to be dedicated to. Because if you're not dedicated, you're just gonna fall off and be like, I don't want to do it.
Yep. So like with this generation in particular, we saw the fall of this standard game as well. Like it went from being a complete product that arrived on a cartridge or a disc to, fuck it, we'll patch it.
A lot of games, now I think about it, in the earlier days of games, a lot of games were single-player games, and that's understandable because we didn't have the internet access. We didn't have a lot of online features back then until, Bill Gates and Steve arrived, and they opened that market up. So you'd see a lot of single-player games without DLC or content or expansions. So it's kind of obscure to find single-player games nowadays. It's not like totally obscure, but it's a lot more uncommon than we find.
Don't give in to EA's trap, man. Don't give in to EA's trap. They claim
online only.
Yeah, they claim that the single-player games are dead. They're there. They're just less common.
Yeah, of course.
But they just want you to buy their microtransactions. But like seriously, this era of gaming, it popularized, everything from, the shooter market to what we see it today, to console-based MMOs like we see now with like fucking Black Desert coming to consoles,
Yeah.
And let's not forget Minecraft, the king of DLC.
Oh yeah. Mojang is very. I wouldn't say but they're just doing what they can.
Yeah.
With DLC, it's just like this was. I don't really see them being evil about it. I mean, DLC is DLC.
Yeah.
When it comes to DLCs, that's like power enhancements, like per se, the one shotgun in Advanced Warfare. Yeah, that's a little evil.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mojang, Minecraft in general has a lot of DLC, but it's usually. The thing is, I like to talk about Minecraft isn't the DLC free, like the actual content, not like skins for your characters and stuff.
Usually, yes. I mean, obviously there's paid servers. You can do realms. At one time when we were still under the Planet Unity name, Chris Velasquez and Rad wanted to start a realm for people to join us, as some sort of content. I don't know if Chris is still paying for the realm. He kind of...
He's still here.
He's still here. Video coming out tomorrow. Tomorrow as of recording, 6/14, because I don't know when I'll actually put this up. Depends on the edit, but it's really like Minecraft. You have all the skin packs, which is perfectly normal in today's market. I mean, there's everything from Halo to Avengers to there was a Doctor Who pack.
I can honestly say it's very milky per se. It's very milky, because you have so many licenses going through. You got Halo, you got Skyrim.
I mean,
all these games.
I mean, to be fair, now Halo's not really a license because Mojang's owned by Microsoft. So
yeah. So it's kind of like a collaboration force. They own it, so it's like no big deal, anyways.
Yeah.
But it's like you see so many of these map packs. Usually, when I refer to map packs, I'm referring to the actual environment will change if you buy these certain map packs. Like if you buy the Halo one, it will turn into like a Halo environment with the addition of Halo-based characters you can play as.
Yep. Like, I think there was even like a Cortana one, a Cortana skin for your little Steve.
Yep. You boy.
It's so fucking bizarre, some of the shit they came out with. But, I mean, that's not as harmful as what, companies do with, the microtransactions today, with, EA does. But we also, in this era, saw the new tactics being implemented with this, and the tactics being, the one big failure of the online passes, which was kind of pay to access our servers, which was to try and put a stranglehold on the used game market. You got to have this code to, be able to play multiplayer. Sorry. You can pay us $10 for another one.
I've seen that, and I hated it. Especially, PlayStation was known for that. Especially with one game, I can't think of it.
Resistance.
That too, in another game. It was another popular franchise. It was a shooter.
SOCOM?
Nope.
The other one...
Futuristic one.
Killzone?
Yep.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
They had the Game Pass where you could buy the multiplayer. I thought it was the most obscure thing because at the time This was actually around like 2015 or 16ish. I've seen this stuff.
Yeah.
Oh no, it was probably a little later. But I seen this and I was like, wait, I have to pay for the multiplayer, even though I'm paying for the online service already. So it was like a slap in the face initially, but I just realized during this time the PlayStation 3 was technically free service, so it kind of made sense to make these passes, but in a sense it kind of defeated the purpose of having the free online.
Yeah, and see, I think it was because not a lot of this, and I could be completely wrong with this, not a lot of the servers are technically owned by Sony, even if they're part of their Sony online network. Because, you know, a lot of the companies like Gorilla and all of them were still technically only partners at that time. I think Sony now owns Gorilla fully. But, like, for Killzone, for instance, that they were like, well, we're hosting them off this site here, and we need to recoup some, you know, form of loss. And, like it or not, companies don't really make a lot on a game sale, essentially, because they gotta pay, you know, each individual developer a royalty, each individual, you know, person a royalty, so... You did concept art on that one level, here's a royalty check.
I think that's one franchise.
Yeah.
Reopen again. Resistance or even Killzone. Because it's been a while since we've had one of those shooter titles on Sony. And I think it's only appropriate, too.
Yeah, I mean, the last time we saw Killzone, it wasn't very well received, so who knows?
No, it wasn't. No.
I remember my first experience with Killzone Shadowfall was watching a Rage Quit. And Rage Quit's an Achievement Hunter show. Michael had to be like, well, since Sony decides to block our ability to capture, but this was before the Elgato and you could turn off HDCP, I will film it on my fucking phone. Here we go. And he literally filmed him playing the fucking game. He propped up on a box and he filmed him playing the game on his phone. And I'm like, that's dedication right there.
It's like, fuck this shit.
You know, and somebody put in the comments like, yeah, they're patching that in another update. And he's like, well, thanks for letting me know, but this video had to come out today, so fuck it.
Fuck it.
It was so fucking great. Yeah. And they've had a love-hate relationship with Sony ever since, really. So I get... I still hate HDCP as somebody that creates content. You know, recording shit on the fucking Elgato, having to shut that off, then like going to Netflix. Like,
yeah, that's annoying because whenever I want to use the Elgato, I have to turn off the HDCP, and if I want to go on YouTube, I need to turn it back on. It's like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, mine's like if I want to watch Amazon Prime, like I when Red was here one day, we were watching fucking Doctor Who. Right after we filmed the No, My Thing's Better, and he's like, yeah, see what I mean about that episode here? I'm like, yeah, I see what you meant there. And he's like, but before we could do that, it's like, you need to enable HTTP. I'm like, oh, right, the Elgato's plugged in, fuck. Here we go. Like, so I get the struggle with that, really, and that was another thing that entirely, but, like, the online passes were that thing that I think it was actually EA Sports that did it really bad. And let's face it, a sports game is only good for 1 year. So where are you going to see most of these games end up?
Probably in a year's sale, and that's about it. There are some sports games that do last more than a year, and it's usually the basketball ones, because they're pretty much one of the more popular sports aside of football, but they don't usually last very long. That's the thing. They last maybe a year or two, and what they do is they make a new game every single year. Another thing I like to mention, the sports game, I know I'm going a little off topic, but I want to make it short, is that usually when they make a new sports game, they shut down the previous servers of the older sports games, which is kind of unfortunate, but it makes sense because you don't want to clutter the service up.
Yeah, so as somebody that has played EA titles in the past, you know, they sent like the yearly bulletin not too long ago what's getting shut off, and I'm like, wow, they're just now shutting off Madden 25 servers. I'm like, isn't that game like 4 or 5 years old? Shit.
Yeah.
They must have some good fucking servers now. I guess all those microtransactions helped them.
Especially with FIFA, that's another pop.
Yeah.
Microtransactions.
Yeah.
That's actually one of the bigger ones.
Like, but I'm like, there's so I guess they're gonna pull it from like the EA Vault too. If you didn't buy it or download it, I'm like, I'm not a sports guy, so I don't give a shit. It's like
It's like I don't give a shit.
I really don't like. I played Madden when I was a teenager, and that was about it. It just stopped interesting me. Like at this point, you could just patch the fucking roster, unless there was a dramatic change.
Yeah.
It just seems pointless to be a yearly release still, and that goes for every sports game. But
I have to agree at this point. It's like all it is except 2K18 for NBA. It's a little bit different because there's a different campaign. It's a much more diverse leveling system. But aside of that, nothing really changes. The roster, yes, it will change over time because you got college kids coming into the NBA and stuff. But that's about it.
like,
It's like update rosters, maybe a new campaign if they want to milk it. That's about it.
yeah, like that's the downside to that. But the big thing here was this was when used game sales were killing the publishers, killing the developers, so that they put these passes in there just to kind of put a stranglehold on that market, and fans just like, well, I'm not going to play online anymore, fuck it. So a lot of them near the end of the life cycle of Resistance 3, they made the season pass free. I think SOCOM did the same, and Killzone, and they're like, yeah, you guys can play the here's this online pass code, you can download it for free, we give up.
Yeah, but that was mostly on like the PlayStation, right? It was never on the Xbox much, really.
Not that I'm too oddly familiar with. I know
Because I can't remember it being on the Xbox. I know for sure it was definitely on the PlayStation.
I think one or two of the Assassin's Creed multiplayer titles had them, but I'm not entirely certain.
Probably.
I mean, Ubisoft is Ubisoft. They'll do whatever they can to make money. But that was the big one there. And then this model kind of returned with like the Switch Online service coming to pass, the Xbox Live Gold being required for online multiplayer, PlayStation Plus being required now. So it was that big, push towards paid multiplayer, but at the same time you get a hell of a lot of goodies with it. Like, for example, games with Gold, you get 4 free titles thanks to backwards compatibility. You get like 2 to...
At one point, we only had 2 free titles. So
yeah.
It was...
Well, that was during like the 360 era, near the end as well.
I remember that.
Yep. And now, like, PlayStation Plus gives you titles, like you get a VR game occasionally. Now you can download Black Ops 3 thanks to the E3 thing.
You guys should download that now before it goes back to $60.
Because, Call of Duty will never be below $60 unless it's on sale.
Black Ops 2 is still for $60, by the way. That's how strict they are with cutting prices.
Fucking Christ. Is it, what, 10 years old at this point?
Oh, yeah. I think Call of Duty goes to the same way. But the thing is, the best way to buy these games is just go to your GameStop. Support GameStop, buy those games because they're way cheaper.
Yeah, I can pick up from Ghost to Black Ops 3 at Disc Traders now for like $45.
Yep.
It's ridiculous.
So much cheaper.
It's ridiculous. But yeah, there's that as the big one. And then the other one that kind of we saw the beginnings of during this generation of gaming was microtransactions starting to be a thing. Because
it was becoming a common thing.
Yeah.
Common practice.
Evolve was during, the ending of this generation. And that was one of the most notoriously microtransaction padded games in existence.
Yep.
RIP Evolve, you were a great concept, but you had no player base.
I know, and I was so sad because I really liked the concept of Evolve because it was like Monster Hunter, but it had its own unique feel to it, and I really did like that game. I jumped back on it like I think a year ago or like 2 years ago, and you can still find a few people here and there, but it's very hard to get in matchmaking.
Oh yeah.
And it's kind of sad. It's a really good game. The developers kind of destroyed it. Turtle Beach, I believe, or Turtle 2K, I think it was.
Turtle Rock, formerly known as the developers who made Left 4 Dead. Yeah.
Yep. And which was kind of weird, but what they did is they threw so much microtransactions on it. I think they had season passes for it too as well. And what they would do is they would take like skins for weapons, armor for the monsters, and they just throw it in a microtransaction blender, and it was just so overwhelming. I believe they had like hundreds of dollars of microtransactions.
Yep,
you could
there was
buy in their store.
there was like $200 or $300 packs, if I'm not mistaken, at one point. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, one was like the year 1 pack, and it had, you know, all the shit that came out in that, and a year 2 pack, and like, what the fuck is this? Like, what the fuck is this? I don't give a fuck about a 99-cent gun skin. I don't care about, you know, $1.99, you know, whatever. It is so fucking weird. It's a shame that it was ruined by that. And we saw, like, currency in gaming becoming a more relevant thing during the Call of Duty Elite era as well.
Yep. And it was also prominent in sports games.
Yep. And the
NBA.
The V-Creds, that started, you know, to breed this microtransaction era that we'll talk about in the next episode. So, peace.
Peace.